Hi, I'm Diane Kometa, and today on Dishin with Di, I'm going to show you how to make soft pretzels. Golden brown on the outside and nice and doughy on the inside. So let's get started on Dishin with Di. So they're really simple to make. There's just a few key things that you need to know to make sure they turn out right. And one is the temperature of your liquid. So in this case, I'm going to be using a combination of some water and some milk that I mixed together, and I warmed this in the microwave, and it's between 110 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit because we are going to put some yeast in there. And in order for the yeast to activate, like come alive, they're already alive really, but in order for them to activate, you need to have the water at that temperature. If it's too cool, they won't activate. If it's too hot, you kill the little things. So what we're going to do now is take this yeast and pour it right in to our liquid along with some sugar and some salt. And we're just going to mix this through really thoroughly. The sugar is going to give the yeast something to feed off of, and we're going to let this sit for about 5 minutes so that it becomes nice and foamy. So over here, I have already measured my flour, but for this recipe, it's really crucial that you measure it properly. So you want to do the pour and level. So what that means is you have your flour in your bin and you kind of want to loosen it up a little bit. When you put the flour in, you want it to come up and over the top of your measuring cup, just like this, and then you want to level it off with the back of a knife, just like so. And then dump that into the bowl that you're going to be accumulating the flour in. If you go ahead and you scoop your flour into the measuring cup, it's going to pack down and you're going to end up with too much flour and the pretzels aren't going to come out the way they should. So after your liquid sits for 5 minutes, then we're going to put these two things together. When the yeast is activated, it should look like this, nice and foamy on the top. If you don't see that, then let it sit for a little bit longer, but if it goes for 10 minutes and it doesn't foam up, the yeast might be bad or the temperature of the liquid might not have been, in the desired area. So you might have to start over with that. But now what we're going to do is take this mixture and put it into the bowl of a stand mixer. And I have this fitted with the dough hook, because we're going to do some kneading. Now to this, we're going to have some melted unsalted butter, and this is cooled a little bit, so you don't want this piping hot, and just add that in along with the flour. Now you're going to mix this on low until the flour disappears. Now I like to help it along a little bit because sometimes the flour gets kind of stuck up on the sides, so have yourself a nice rubber spatula handy so you can just kind of scrape down the sides if you need to. Once all the flour has disappeared, then you want to make sure you lock down your mixer because it can start to bounce up because it's pretty tight in there. And you want to mix this for a good 5 to 7 minutes. It might even take a little bit longer. And what you're looking for is the dough to clean away from the side of the bowl and for it to be nice and smooth. So as you can see right now, it's already pulled away from the side of the bowl, but it is not ready. It's still kind of tacky. It looks kind of like a little shaggy and pulled. What you're looking for is nice and smooth. It's nice and smooth. It's not sticky at all, and it's pretty much cleaned out the bowl. So now what you want to do is take some vegetable oil. This is canola oil, and I'm just going to squirt a little bit in my bowl, form it into a ball, and then put my dough ball into my bowl, and then I'm just going to turn it over and get it nicely coated. Love the way it feels. Just kind of play with it. Reminds me of Play-Doh. Now you want to take a kitchen towel or some plastic wrap and just put this over top and put this in a warm place away from any type of draft. So you don't want this near like your air conditioning vent or a ceiling fan or an open window. What I do is place it into my microwave with it off, of course, and that way it'll have a chance to rise, and it should double in size in about an hour. Then you're going to prepare for the rest of the recipe. Fill a 6 to 8 quart pot that has a wide opening with about 8 cups of water. Add to that some baking soda along with some dark brown sugar and mix this together thoroughly. The baking soda is what's going to help the pretzels to get their nice brown appearance, and the dark brown sugar is going to give them that flavor that's characteristic of a nice soft pretzel. So once you get this mixed through, then you want to set the temperature for about medium high, and you're going to bring this to a boil. In the meantime, you want to position your oven racks in the upper third and the lower third of your oven. Then set your oven temperature for 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Lightly whisk 1 egg yolk and add to that 1 tablespoon of water, creating an egg wash. Near your pot of water, have a plate lined with a paper towel along with your pastry brush and egg wash and a flat spatula or a slotted spoon. So I have 2 baking sheets here that are lined with parchment paper, and I'm just going to put a little bit of vegetable oil on each one and just spread that around. I'm going to use my hand. Now it's okay that your hands are a little bit oily because that's going to help us when we roll out this dough. It's risen up, it's doubled in size, and now we're ready to start forming the pretzels. So first you want to just press it down and deflate it and then remove it from the bowl. And it feels so beautiful, it's so soft. And you're going to divide this into 8 pieces. Try to get them as even as possible. Cover up the dough that you're not rolling with some plastic wrap so it doesn't dry out. Have 2 kitchen towels that you've dampened by your side because you're going to cover up the pretzels with those as you roll them. And then take a piece of your dough, place it on your clean counter. Just roll it out from the center outward with the palms of your hands and try to apply even pressure. If you notice one side's a little thicker than the other, then just go ahead and roll that a little bit more. And I like to keep the palms of my hands lightly greased, so keep your oil close by and just put a little bit of oil on your hands, or you could even put it on your work surface, but I don't think that's really necessary. But this helps it to like kind of glide along as you roll it, and it won't like stick to the counter or anything. And you want to get your rope to about 24 to 30 inches long. Then take the rope, form it into a U, cross it over once. If you like that center extra doughy, cross it over again, and then bring it down and let the ends hang over just a little bit, and then press it down just like this. And then move it over to your greased baking sheet and take the damp towel and just place it over it. And I have 4 pretzels on each sheet. So now I'm going to take these over to my stove where I have the pot of water, and we're going to get started on dipping them in. Lower each pretzel carefully into the boiling liquid and let it cook for about 30 seconds. I like to just tap it down a little bit with the spatula and just dunk it under a couple times. Then carefully use your spatula and remove it from the liquid. Stop at the paper towel for a second and just let some of the liquid come off, and then place it right back on to your parchment lined baking sheet and pick up another pretzel. Once all of the pretzels have been dipped, brush the egg wash evenly over the top and sides of each pretzel. Sprinkle coarse salt like kosher salt or pretzel salt over the tops of each pretzel. Take the baking sheets and place one on the top rack of the oven and the other on the lower rack of the oven. And set your timer for 7 minutes. After 7 minutes, open the oven door and switch the sheets. Take the top sheet and move it to the bottom, and the bottom and move it to the top, and turn the sheets around so what was the front is now facing the rear of the oven. Then close the oven door, and you're going to cook them for another 7 minutes or until they're dark golden brown. Then remove them from the oven and place them on a cooling rack to cool slightly before you dig in. I just want you to see the beautiful texture of these pretzels. Look at that. Look how nice and like doughy, and you can hear it's a little bit crisp. Ugh, I've been dying for these. You hear that? Perfect flavor, nice and tender. No one is going to believe that you made these yourself. Trust me. Go get the recipe, dishinwithdi.com, and I hope I made your life a little easier, more enjoyable, and delicious. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.